All right, this is take two, and it looks like it's actually going to recognize my microphone this time. So, two big thumbs up on that one. Hopefully, everybody comes back and finds this. Why don't we just go ahead and share this out? Let's pop this on Twitter. Sorry, folks, stream live now. That is good. That's good English. There we go. Now we're good. Now everything is fine and back to normal. Awesome. Lovely. Thank you folks for letting me know that wasn't work cuz I was like you could see like the green buttons down here on the audio on the broadcasting side and I'm like I don't see any green buttons. So I don't think this is working. All right. Great. Now let's pull this program back up. And who knows, having this program up first may have screwed with this. Paxton is here. Martin is here. I believe Andrew is here as well. So we'll wait for him to come back. And yeah, we are going to get things started. Put that up there. Unfortunately, we're going to be starting on a bit of a somber note on the show this week, but it's cheers to new beginnings. So and that's for everybody around. So we'll get started here in just a moment. That's what I'm looking for. This is definitely helpful. All right. You can definitely tell that I worked later today than I normally do because this was a definite rush to get this show ready to roll somewhat on time. All right. So we'll put that there and we'll get rolling in 5, 4, 3. What's happening, everybody? Justin, Bridgewater's finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter, and welcome to week 14 of my weekly NFL football pick show for the 2023 NFL season and postseason. And what you may have noticed there in the intro, and keen-eyed viewers may have noticed it in the thumbnail to this stream as well, I didn't say that I was sponsored by NerdTeas, my great friends at NerdTeas, who have been sponsors of mine for years now. This earlier last week, I unfortunately learned that NerdTeas is going to have to go out of business. Actually, they already have. The website's no longer there. The storefront has had to close down, and it sucks. It really, really sucks. And this is in my description down below. You see that we're talking about saying goodbye to an old friend or saying farewell to an old friend. So we're going to be saying farewell to NerdTeas, unfortunately. Ruby and the team over at NerdTeas has been incredible to me. They've been so wonderful taking a chance on, a small creator of my size, not in their demographic at all. Their wheelhouse for sponsorships with creators was video games. That was their wheelhouse. And it certainly was not football. It took a little bit of convincing for me to say, look, there's a lot of nerds in this community. And that was the selling point, really. And she said, you know what? I kind of get it. It kind of makes sense. And NerdTeas was a wonderful partner and sponsor for me for a number of years. I certainly believed in their brand and believed in the people behind it. So it's really unfortunate to have to say farewell to them, but it's on to bigger and better things for them and hopefully for me as well. So all I will say at this point is cheers, obviously. Obrigado to Ruby and the team. Thank you so much for, again, taking a chance on a small creator like me and letting me take the opportunity every single video and every single episode to talk about how much I loved this product. And I certainly do. I will be enjoying the tea that I have remaining. And again, onward and upward. Cheers. So now we'll go ahead and kick into the show here for week 14. And look, it was a show, or a week rather, back in week 13 that was exceptionally successful for me. Going 10-3 straight up in a week with, again, only 13 games to hit double digits straight up, that you certainly want to be aiming for that every single week. Now 125-68 on the season, just under 65% picking the games straight up. Against the spread, had a monster week as well, 9-3-1. Takes me to 107-82-4 against the spread on the season. So one of my most successful against the spread seasons already, and we're looking to continue adding on to that. I was even above water on the total. 7-6 last week has me 89-102-2 on the season. We take a look at the primetime games, and look, I'll just say this. I nailed the primetime games this past week, going 10-2 across those primetime picks, including going 4-0 straight up, with Dallas beating Seattle on Thursday night, San Francisco beating Philadelphia in my flex spot because Green Bay and Kansas City were playing on Sunday night, Green Bay with the big upset there, and Cincinnati upsetting the Jacksonville Jaguars on Monday Night Football. I went 3-1 against the spread in those games and 3-1 on the totals, only missing the spread in Dallas, Seattle. I had Dallas -9. They only won the game by, I guess it was 6 points. And I did miss the total in Green Bay, Kansas City. I told you to stay under and they go over. But other than that, I absolutely nailed last week. And that's reflected in the Bridgewater's Finest straight up pick'em pool, season 12 of this show. I now back up inside the top 10 in 9th place out of 52, 1,064 out of 1,538 possible confidence points. It's just over 69%, and it's right up there with the teams at the top. I brought in 74 of 91 possible confidence points last week, which is a clip of over 81%, and good enough to win the week. Your boy Bridgewater's Finest wins week 13 for my city, for my people, for NerdTeas going out on top. Bridgewater's Finest wins it in week 13, 10-3, 74 of 91, 81.3%. I won the day. Very close. The team in second place, I think it was Half Moon actually, had 72. So it was super, super close, but your boy picks up the win. Jason has moved into the overall lead in the pick'em pool, 128-65, bringing in 1,106 of 1,538 confidence points for a clip just under 72%. They are leading the way, but your boy won week 13, and it feels real good. Now, we're going to take a peek into Fantasy Corner, which is, of course, presented by the Dynasty Trade Calculator. Now, the DTC, I've mentioned before, it is one of the absolute best tools available to you online for dynasty, keeper, and long-term fantasy football. You're talking player rankings, trade evaluations, podcasts, a ton of great experts on the Dynasty Trade Calculator, and for as little as a cup of coffee, you can gain access to one of the absolute best tools available to you online. If you're a long-term fantasy football player like myself, the DTC has helped me win championships. Check out my affiliate link, which is in the description below, and you are going to be able to get access, like I said, just for the cost of a cup of coffee, you're going to get access to the Dynasty Trade Calculator. I went even money last week in fantasy football, 4-4 across my 8 teams. I did move up into 3rd place in one of my best ball leagues, but did move down to 5th place in the other one. So I've been 4-4 for the last couple of weeks. So one moved up, one moved down. C'est la vie. I did get a big win in the Professionals Dynasty Fantasy Football, a win over Anthony, who is one of the perennial top teams in that league. That moves me to 7-6. That was a big underdog win for me, and that did help me clinch a playoff spot in the Professionals Dynasty, feeling real good after having the first overall pick last year. So definitely solid stuff for me, moves to 7-6. In the Ante and Co Dynasty League, I did lose to Tensa. Tensa's one of the top teams in the league. So am I. A bit of an off week for me. I don't think I had a tight end to play. Like TJ Hawkinson was on bye. Didn't have anybody else on the roster. C'est la vie. It was going to be a tough climb anyway. So I was up okay, I guess, losing that matchup, which is a bad thing to say. It does move me to 9-4. I'm in third place. I've already clinched a playoff spot in that league. I have week 14 matchups against Mitch and Justine in those two leagues, respectively. And those two teams, Mitch is in 11th out of 12 in the professionals. Justine, I believe, is 12th place out of 12 in Ante and Co., or I may have that backwards. In any case, two non playoff teams absolutely have to win as we careen recklessly towards the first week of the fantasy football playoffs, which for both of those leagues is next week. And I'll take this opportunity, as I always do, to remind you that if you go to the description of this live stream, of the VOD, of the podcast, however you interact with this show, you're going to find all of my results from last week, all of my straight up against the spread and over under plays for week 14 in the NFL. You're going to find information on joining the Bridgewater's Finest Pick'em Pool for season 12 of this show. If you win a week, you get yourself shouted out. You're also going to find information on joining the NFL YouTube Prognosticators Facebook page. And once again, as we say farewell to our friends at NerdTeas, again, I say thank you very much for a number of really good years of sponsorship and friendship. I wish you guys nothing but the best. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I see Moon in the chat there. No more NerdTeas. Yeah, it sucks. Unfortunately, small businesses. It's a tough road out there. Like I know very little about that, but I know it's very difficult for small businesses to survive nowadays. And unfortunately, it was just a case where they couldn't keep it going. But like I say, I loved their product. I loved their brand. I loved their partnership. They were fantastic the whole time. I have nothing but good things to say about Ruby and the whole team over at NerdTeas. So I wish them nothing but the best. I hope everybody lands on their feet. Let's see. I thought Carver took over your show. No Carver yet. We leave him back in October. I like how you won your own pool this past week. Again, it's like once or twice a year, basically, I have a week that's good enough because I always seem to attract killers in my pool. I have a lot of people in my pool over the years who are up among like the top across the entire game. Like it's incredible how many times I've had like somebody in the top 50 overall across the entire pick'em game on Yahoo just happens to be in my league. It's crazy. It's been multiple years that's happened. If Trevor Lawrence didn't hurt his ankle, Jacksonville would have won an OT. You're probably right. Like you're probably correct. It was a huge win for Cincinnati, but I think you're probably right. I went 3-0 on my over/under in primetime games. That's awesome, fantastic. That was Andrew saying that. That's tremendous. Half Moon saying he's playing Fortnite and listening. Go get those dubs, boss. All right. Without further ado, let us get into the picks for week 14 in this 2023 NFL season. We have another week where the Green Bay Packers are playing in a primetime game. This time, one of the two Monday night. The NFL is like, we say this about the NHL a lot. Best sport, worst league. NFL, why are you the way that you are? Like, two Monday night games is bad enough, but the fact that they're in the same time slot, why would you divide your audience like that? I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. If someone knows the reason right off the top of their head, please feel free to educate me in the comments. But I don't get it. If you're gonna have two Monday night games, okay, I don't love that idea, but fine. But to put them in the same time slot makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. Anyway, we have a 15-game slate here. We're going to kick things off with the Thursday nighter, the New England Patriots traveling to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers. And this is a game that obviously is going to be severely impacted by a lack of offensive stars. And I mean, look, this New England Patriots offense, This might be the worst offense we've ever seen. This offense is terrible with a capital T right now. A bigger capital T than the one you have to put in front of towel for Pittsburgh. Like, just a terrible, terrible offense. And like, it's made all the worse by the fact that you got Ramondre Stevenson, who's now dealing with an ankle injury. That averages 3 weeks. It's a high ankle sprain. I would be shocked if he plays. Looks like it's going to be Zeke Elliott, which is interesting, but at the same time, it's not the Zeke Elliott of years past. And then on Pittsburgh's side, you've got Kenny Pickett, who is now injured again, likely to have surgery or has already had surgery on the ankle that he was nursing, who was injured before. So now he's had surgery. He's out 2 to 4 weeks. We have a quarterback matchup on Thursday night. Is this not disastrous for the NFL? A quarterback matchup in prime time on Thursday night of Mitch Trubisky versus Bailey Zappi. Like, Kenny Pickett versus Mac Jones isn't a crazy high profile quarterback matchup anyway. But Mitch Trubisky and Bailey Zappi? What are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? You have the Buffalo Bills and Kansas City Chiefs playing this week. You can't tell me that the second that Kenny Pickett went down with that injury last week, somebody wasn't getting on the phone and saying, you know what? Move that game to Thursday. I don't care what you got to pay them. I don't care what we got to do. Move that game to Thursday. Like, just unbelievable. It's crazy that football fans are going to sit down and they're going to watch this game. I mean, Najee Harris isn't practicing. So, I mean, Najee Harris may not play. This whole thing's going to be a disaster. So, and again, when I say that this may be the worst offense ever, when you're talking about the Patriots, here's what I mean. The New England Patriots, I love this efficiency statistic, right? Love it, love it, love it. Not only are they losers of 5 straight games, that sucks on the surface. When you look at offensive efficiency for the New England Patriots, it is currently taking them, I put this on Twitter, 40.2 yards, 4 first downs to put 1 point on the board. Over their last 4 games, they got about 1,200 yards of offense. They've scored 30 points with 1,200 yards of offense. It's like starting on your own 1-yard line and going down the field, all the way down the field, 12 times and only coming away with 30 points. It's not even a matter of, the offense is really conservative. No, this might be the worst offense that we've ever seen. Ever. Period. So give me the Steelers, I guess. Like, they're at home. So I guess give me the Steelers. I think they're the better football team. Their defense isn't quite what it's been in the last month or so, but I think this defense is still more than capable. I should put it this way. Both of these defenses are more than capable of stealing this game. It's going to be a matter of whose offense doesn't suck the worst. Let's assume it's going to be Pittsburgh on home field. So let's take the Steelers to win the game outright. This game has an absolutely disgusting line of -6. That's gross. The Steelers are favored by 6 points in this turd. That is unbelievable. And I think I have to take the points on New England. Because if there's only going to be 3 points scored in the whole game, like, how are you going to cover 6? Like, oh, God. Do we all just collectively not watch this game? Is that a possibility? No disrespect to Patriots fans and Steelers fans. They're going to watch the game. But, my God, anybody else does not hate watching this thing. I don't get it. God. Do I take the points? Do I lay the points? God. For the benefit of those not watching the stream, I'm currently holding my nose. Lay the minus points. Lay the -6. Lay the -6 on Pittsburgh. Gross. I hate it. Total in the game 30.5. Give me the under. Let's go. Like, does either of these teams get to 20 points? Good God. Let's go 17-7. All right. That accounts for the possibility of like 2 pick sixes and an offensive touchdown, maybe by accident. What do you do? Like, just crazy. So 17-7 is still a strong under. And let's lay the -6 on Pittsburgh and get this thing over with as soon as possible. Oh boy. All right. Let's fly through some quick ones here. We are going to start in Atlanta. Tampa Bay against the Atlanta Falcons. Both of these teams on the happy side of things last week. Atlanta has won back-to-back games, so they're certainly playing decent, better football as of late. I like them from an efficiency perspective. I don't see anything special in either one of these teams, but I really don't see anything special in Atlanta. But I can extend that to both teams. Like, Bijan Robinson has the ability to be special if they would use him like Bijan Robinson. And I don't think they're at the point where they're going to do that yet. It's certainly not going to help Atlanta's case that they are dealing with an injury in the secondary, and it's probably the most talented member of their secondary in AJ Terrell, or one of them anyway. He's got a concussion. Most players lately have been leaning towards missing that next game, so I'm kind of leaning that he's going to be out. That does hurt their secondary. It does open the door for Baker Mayfield and one of the best wide receivers playing right now, a guy that deserves to probably go to the Hall of Fame someday, and that's Mike Evans. What is it? 10 consecutive seasons of 1,000 yards or more? Like, him and Jerry Rice, and that's it? Like, we don't talk nearly enough about how incredible Mike Evans is. And I think a player like Mike Evans is enough to push a team over the top. Ladies and gentlemen, give me the upset in this matchup. Give me the Tampa Bay Bucks on the road in Atlanta to beat the Falcons. The Falcons are not a strong team when they are a favorite, which is what they are here. They're a 2.5-point favorite at home. And basically, I've kind of just been going the opposite way to whatever the line is telling me in Falcons games. Like, that's a little inside baseball here. I've done that a lot this season, and I've been pretty successful with it. So the fact that the Falcons are 2.5-point favorites, which I understand, but that doesn't mean you got to pick with them. I think Tampa Bay upsets them in this matchup. Let's take the Bucks on the road to upset the Falcons in Atlanta, and give me the +2.5 on the Bucks while we're at it. Total in the game set at 39.5 points. I'm feeling another under here again. Atlanta's not scoring a ton of points. Tampa Bay's not scoring a ton of points. Both their defenses are basically the same, pretty average. But give me the under in this one. Give me like a 23-14 in favor of Tampa Bay. Give me a couple of touchdowns from Mike Evans. Bucks win, cover, and give me the under. Let's go to Chicago now. Battle of the NFC North. The Bears are going to play host here to the Detroit Lions. Both of these teams were winners last time out, and the Lions are coming into this game on the tail end of back-to-back road games. The Lions here are obviously objectively the better football team. I think Chicago has kind of leveled out a little bit. Defensively, I think they've been doing some really good things lately. Over the past month or so, they're like top 5 in the league in terms of total defense. So like they're doing some things on the defensive side. They haven't really figured out the offense yet. They're a terribly inefficient offense, which that's certainly one thing you cannot say about Detroit. They put up a ton of yards, they put up a ton of points. They're an efficient as heck offense. The Bears are coming into this game off their bye, so they will be well rested. They did have 2 weeks to prepare, and that's probably reflected in the line here because the Bears are only 3-point dogs in this matchup, despite, again, Detroit is definitely a better team than that. Maybe they haven't quite played that way lately. They are the definition of the glass cannon. They're a great offense. They're not a very good defense. At least they're not playing like a very good defense right now. Half Moon in the chat going Chicago weather check-in. High 30s, high winds, possible snow and rain. That makes me feel not great about the fact that I'm probably going to take the over. That's that doesn't bode super well for me, but it is also Tuesday. So those things can change fairly quickly, and it is a pretty reasonable number. I have to like the Lions here. Again, I don't love going with the glass cannons, but if this was a team in Chicago that I thought was doing anything particularly special on the offensive side to really take advantage of that, maybe I'd have grabbed an upset here. I don't feel great about that happening. Let's take the Lions on the road in Chicago to get the win over the Bears. So, like I said, Chicago's taking +3 here as a home dog. I like Detroit to win. It's a relatively small price to pay at -3. Let's lay the 3 points on the Lions. Total in the game set at 40.5. So it is such a beatable number, but man, that weather report is kind of giving me reason to pause a little bit. Possible snow and rain, high winds. I think the Lions run game can still win this thing. Give me the over. Give me the over. We're going to go like 26-17, something like that. So it's not a massive over, maybe over on the final, a backdoor over, you know what I mean? So we're still going to go over. Let's go 26-17 Lions. They win, they cover over the 40.5, but I do feel dicey about that over. Let's go to Cincinnati now, where the Bengals on the short week picking up the win last week, the Joe Burrow-less Cincinnati Bengals. They are going to play host to an Indianapolis Colts team that's on the tail end of back-to-back road games, but boy, is this Colts team peaking at the right time. Gardner Minshew has the boys rolling on the offensive side of the ball. The defense has turned things around. The Colts are winners of 4 consecutive games. And like Andrew kind of mentioned in the chat earlier, if the Trevor Lawrence injury hadn't have happened, Jacksonville probably wins that game in overtime or just wins that game outright. So, yes, it's awesome that the Bengals got that win. It really is. I'm not going to put a ton of stake into it, especially where this defense has really struggled lately, giving up a ton of yardage, giving up a ton of points. Their efficiency level is right around the midpoint, but that's only because both of those previous numbers are so high. A lot of points, a lot of yards. So, I feel really good about the Colts in this matchup. Yeah, they're on the road. They're a very marginal favorite here on the road at just -1.5, but I really like the Colts here. I think they're moving. So let's go ahead and grab Indianapolis on the road in Cincinnati to get the win over the Bengals. On the line, like I said, +1.5 for Cincinnati as a marginal home dog, but give me the -1.5 on Indianapolis since I like them to win. Total in this game is 39.5 points. This feels fairly strongly as an over for me. I think they'll be able to beat this number, 39.5. It's pretty beatable. So let's go over the 39.5 point total and go something like 24-20 in favor of the Colts. So Colts win 24-20, means they cover -1.5, and give me the over on the 39.5 point total. And before we go to the aforementioned Buffalo Kansas City game, which is what I'm putting in my flex this week, let's talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars traveling to Cleveland to take on a Browns team that are losers of back-to-back games and maybe without one of their biggest weapons and stars in the receiving game. Cleveland could very well be without Amari Cooper this week. He was taken out of the game early last week with what they called a head injury. Read between the lines there. That probably means concussion. I believe he's in the concussion protocol, although I don't think I've seen confirmation of that. If he's not out there, that's certainly a hit against the Browns on the offensive side. But you want to talk about hits against the offensive side of a team, look no further than the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are likely going to have to turn to CJ Beathard for the next couple of weeks at quarterback. Trevor Lawrence injures his ankle last week. And originally, look, when this happened in the Monday night game, I looked at it and immediately, what's the first thought you immediately have? You immediately go, well, that was an Achilles, because he takes his helmet off and he just slams it on the ground. I think he even thought, like, there it goes. Like, there's my Achilles. There's my season done. I'm not back until probably the halfway point of next year. Like, you could just, like, he looked so frustrated and defeated when that happened. As it turns out, doesn't look like he's got an Achilles injury. They're calling it a high ankle sprain. There is currently no timeline for him. All they're saying is they refuse to rule him out for this week, which is ridiculous. If he has a high ankle sprain, he's not playing this week, especially not when they're so in the race for their division, for a playoff spot, what have you. Like, you can't screw with your golden goose like that. So he's not going to play this week. Looks like it's going to be CJ Beathard. If it was me, that would be my boy Nathan Rourke, who I would not only call up from the practice squad, I'd be giving him the start in this game. I think Nathan Rourke wins this football game. I don't think they're going to do that. I think it's going to be CJ Beathard, and I don't like their offensive prospects quite that much. Add on to that, of course, coming into this game on the short week, having just played on Monday night. But it's not just Trevor Lawrence. Christian Kirk injures himself as well. He's got a core muscle injury that it looks like he's going to have surgery on. Same deal for him. No timeline in terms of when he's going to return. He's been a big weapon for them on the offensive side. 50-some catches, 700-some yards. It's a big part of their pass game is Christian Kirk. He ain't going to be out there either, and he ain't going to be there for the foreseeable future. I think this Jacksonville Jaguars team right now is very gettable. This is a very pedestrian defense, at least the way they're playing right now. Not really anything special on that defensive side. The offense can move the ball, but they're not putting a massive, like a ton of points on the board. And you take out your starting quarterback and one of your star receivers, give me the Cleveland Browns outright. Regardless of whether Amari Cooper plays in this game, I like the Cleveland Browns, who are getting at least a little bit healthier, certainly, hopefully, at the quarterback position. But I like the Cleveland Browns in this one. Give me the Browns to win this game outright. And this just goes to show you what the impact is of the loss of Trevor Lawrence. When this line opened, Cleveland was taking 2.5 points as a home dog. They are currently laying 3 points as a home favorite. That's just how much this line just flew because of the news, obviously, of the injury to Trevor Lawrence. I like Cleveland to win. 3 points is not a massive price to pay. Let's lay the -3 on Cleveland. Total in the game set at 30.5 points, and this total dropped by 6 points on the news of Trevor Lawrence's injury. It was 36.5 when I originally looked. It is now 30.5. I have to bite on that. It's such a low number. Let's bite on over 30.5 points in Cleveland, Jacksonville, and let's go 23-13 in favor of the Cleveland Browns. Browns win, Browns cover, and give me the over on the points. All right. Now let's look at that Buffalo Kansas City game. The Bills traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. Obviously, neither one of these two teams are playing at the level of football that they are accustomed to. So the Bills are, bottom 10 in the league right now over the last month or so in terms of efficiency on the defensive side. The offense, they move the ball fairly well. They score some points. It's kind of Buffalo Bills football, but that defense certainly leaving things to be desired. And we talked about the Kansas City Chiefs and how that offense just does not look like the Kansas City Chiefs right now. The defense has been all right. The defense has kept them afloat. But I mean, look, Green Bay was just able to put up 27 points on that defense. So while they've been keeping them afloat, they really need to have that turnaround on the offensive side. I feel like this is a matchup where they could certainly have that. The Bills are going to be coming into this game off of their bye, so they will certainly be well rested. And when you look at this game to start the season, you have to look at this as like, well, that's a marquee matchup in the AFC. Like that should be a matchup for the 1 seed, right? It's really not. Like if you look at the context of the NFL playoff picture right now, I'm just going to quick bring that up so I can make reference to something directly. Like if you when you had looked at that and said like, oh, this could be a battle for the 1 seed in the AFC, the Chiefs are kind of in that conversation at 8-4, but I mean, like the Bills are only 6-6. Like this is a Bills team that is like on the bubble to miss the playoffs, which is crazy. You could definitely see this kind of being torn up a little bit if the Bills don't either miss the playoffs. Certainly if they miss the playoffs. If they make it to the playoffs but lose on Super Wildcard weekend, I still don't think that's necessarily the end of the world for the Bills. If they miss the playoffs, it might be the end of the world for the Bills. 6-6, definitely not where I saw them being. I think Kansas City is angry. I really do. And not that they should feel like they got cheated or anything like that, but this is a team that is so used to success that the fact that they have struggled to find it lately, it's got to just burn. It's just got to eat at them. I think Andy Reid is probably the greatest coach or one of the greatest coaches, maybe should be on the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches. I think he and the boys in Kansas City get a big win here on home field. Let's take the Kansas City Chiefs at home to beat the Buffalo Bills, again, despite the fact that the Bills are coming into the game fresh off their bye. On the line, Kansas City laying -2.5. And look, I really like the 2.5 here. It's a small price to pay. I like them to win. Let's lay the -2.5. Total in this game is 47.5. And this is one of the more contentious totals among bettors this week. Like looking at the money and looking at the volume of bets, there's a lot of people like the over in this. I'm going to go the other way. I don't see either of these offenses as anything crazy, crazy special. Like Buffalo's offense, I think, is certainly playing better lately. But the way that they've both been playing, I think this winds up being a bit more of a defensive battle than that. Give me the under on this point total, 47.5. Give me the under. We're going to go like 24-20 in favor of the Chiefs. Chiefs win, Chiefs cover, and give me a contentious under on the points. Andrew in the chat making the point, if Buffalo don't beat Kansas City, they will not make the playoffs. That's going to be pretty tough. I mean, even if they win out, that puts them 10-7. Boy, 10-7 might make it, but I mean, right now it's 7-5 are the wild cards in the AFC. So very, very, very dangerous. Maybe I should have given a little more consideration to Buffalo kind of playing for their playoff lives here, but yeah, I can't see Kansas City dropping those consecutive games. So give me the Chiefs. And get my double whammy of tea and water in there. I hope everybody enjoys that. So, a couple more quick hitters here. We have an NFC South matchup with the New Orleans Saints at home playing host to a Carolina Panthers team that has lost 5 consecutive games and is coming into this on the tail end of back-to-back road games. Now, the Saints, for their part, have lost 3 straight. So this is definitely a battle of two teams going in the same direction, and it's not the direction you want to be going in. Saints have lost 3 straight. Carolina, again, has lost 5. But the Saints are going to be coming into this thing without Derek Carr, or probably without Derek Carr. He's dealing with a wrist injury. He's also probably in concussion protocol. I would say chances are he does not play in this game, which means we're looking at a Jameis Winston-led New Orleans Saints team who I just look at them like an auto fade, man. I can't look at this Saints team as anything else than what I've kind of felt about them all season long, which is I just don't. It's like when I was talking about Atlanta. I just don't see anything special about them. I think they have the ability to be special. Alvin Kamara has the ability to be special. Chris Olave has the ability to be special. Even Derek Carr has the ability to be special. But as a whole, I just don't see too much the special about this Saints team. Now, I don't see a lot that's special about Carolina either, save for one thing. Since they fired Frank Reich, and actually I think even a little bit before they fired Frank Reich, Chuba Hubbard has really come on strong as their starting running back. He has stolen that starting job from Miles Sanders. I mean, Miles Sanders didn't do himself any favors by really not being all that effective in the opportunities that he did have. But Chuba Hubbard is playing some excellent football right now. I think he had multiple touchdowns last week, 25 carries, basically operated as their bell cow. And that was with Miles Sanders healthy. Like, he's the number one guy now, as I said he was going to be. Even when Miles Sanders went to Carolina, I was like, Chuba Hubbard's the more talented back. And over the long term, he's going to take that job. That was what I said in the preseason. That's what I said before the season started. Chuba Hubbard is now rewarding that faith with a pair of excellent performances. And quite frankly, I have picked the Carolina Panthers. Let's see. I picked them last week. I picked them the week before that. So I've picked them 2 weeks in a row. Let's do that. Let's take them 3 weeks in a row. I understand that this is a Panthers team that currently is in line for the number 1 overall pick. And the New England Patriots are right there. They only have 2 wins. Carolina's got 1. So Carolina winning another game puts them at risk of not getting the first overall pick. It's a possibility. But I think the Carolina Panthers are going to steal this game. I think they're going to steal it on the back of Chuba Hubbard on the ground, and maybe a little something brewing on that defense. Certainly playing a little bit better lately. Give me the upset. Give me the Carolina Panthers to win this game outright. So since I like Carolina to win, give me the +5.5 on the Panthers. They did cover +3.5 against the spread last week against the Bucks. I think they do it again this week, but I think they win the game outright in doing so. Total in the game, 37.5. I think I have to go under on this one again. I don't see a ton of points either way in this one, but I just like Carolina to get at least one more. Let's go one more. Let's go 17-16. 17-16 final. Carolina gets the win, steals the win, in fact. They win. They cover +5.5, and give me the under. Half Moon with an excellent comment. Chuba Hubbard sounds like the name of a bubble gum. I like that. That's really good. Up to this point, I would say that's probably the comment of the week so far. So we're going to go ahead and take that suggestion from Andrew and just pin that comment right at the top. If somebody beats that comment, then they'll go to the top. But right now, Moon is out in front. We got Tyler in the chat too. The Raiders are angry. The Raiders are always angry. They're like the Hulk. The Raiders are the Hulk of the NFL. The Houston Texans traveling to New York to take on a Jets team that is on their 17th quarterback at this point. Like, next week, it's going to be the the hot dog guy, like who like are they on what Trevor Siemian now? Who's like the fourth guy? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy. This Jets team is, well, look, they've lost 5 straight games. They've played themselves right out of the playoff picture. They've played themselves probably right out of any more Aaron Rodgers games this season. Except he might come back and play in the last week just to say, I did it, with the whole coming back from the Achilles injury. So we might see him again this season, but I think chances are probably not. The Houston Texans were winners last week, have been playing some excellent football lately. That offense really, really moving. However, they're going to have to go the rest of the way without one of their young stud wide receivers in Tank Dell. Tank Dell fracturing his fibula last week. He is done for the season. Hopefully, he'll be ready to go next week. Oh, yeah, that's right. Chicago does have Carolina's number 1 pick. Andrew just made a great point. Chicago has Carolina's number 1 pick from the right. That's right. That's right. So they don't care. They want to win. There you go. That's even better. Thank you, Andrew. I completely, that flew right out of my mind. But you're absolutely right. Good stuff, man. I appreciate that. So like I say, Houston's going to be without Tank Dell, but I really like their wide receiver core. I really, really do. Nico Collins is a guy. He's a number 1. I like Nico Collins. To me, is a number 1 wide receiver in this league. I think he has emerged as that this season. And when you look at going into next season with a 1-2 of Nico Collins and Tank Dell with CJ Stroud, man, that is going to be something special on the offensive side next season for the Texans. And it still is right now. That offense more than capable of winning this game. The Jets defense has cratered because the offense can't do anything. Give me the Texans on the road in New York to get the win over the Jets. Now, on the line, the Jets are taking +5.5 here as a home dog. I like Houston to win, and I like them to cover this number. It's under a touchdown. They're objectively the better football team. So give me the -5.5 on the Houston Texans. I even kind of think their defense is turning things around a little bit there in Houston. Total in this game set at 32.5 points, which is such a low total. Again, I really wanted to bite on this, and I think maybe if the Tank Dell injury hadn't have happened, I probably would have. I think this is pretty close, but give me the under on this really low number, under 32.5. Let's go like 24-6. I'm not going to give the Jets a touchdown, but I am going to give them a couple of field goals in this one. 24-6 in favor of the Houston Texans. Houston wins, Houston covers, and give me the under on the points. Can I ever watch a Canadian stream without seeing a maple leaf? What? Was that in an ad? Where in here do you see a maple leaf, sir? Look. Anyway, you answer that. Oh, my cup. That's amazing. That's hysterical. That's really good. Moon, you are on fire tonight, man. You're just going. That's so funny. You're absolutely right. The answer is no, never. In fact, it's government. It's legal. Has to be there. One of the more interesting matchups this week, the LA Rams on the road in Baltimore taking on the Ravens. And it's interesting because the Rams are playing some pretty darn good football right now, especially on the defensive side where they are top 5 in efficiency over the last month, top 10 in terms of points allowed on defense. That defense is playing really good football, and it's allowing the offense to build things back up and play some fairly efficient football as well. So once again, like, this team's a tough out. This is one of those teams that, like, if this was the playoffs, you wouldn't want to see a team like this on Super Wildcard weekend. Like, this is the team that could go out there and conceivably beat anybody. It's just a shame that they're going up against a Ravens team that offensively is cooking, defensively is cooking. I really love the Ravens and the football that they are playing right now. They're coming into this game off their bye. They're winners of 2 straight. The Rams are winners of 3 straight. So, once again, one of those games where something's got to give. I just think the Ravens are objectively the better football team. I think Baltimore gets this win on home field in Baltimore, fresh off the bye. Let's take the Ravens to get this win. Half Moon chipping in there saying, Baltimore weather, wet and windy. Wet and windy. I feel like that plays right into a defensive first mindset, and I think that plays into the hands of the Baltimore Ravens. So I am going to take Baltimore to win this game straight up. However, the line, they're laying 7.5 points. That is too many points against a Rams team that's playing as well as they are playing right now. So I got to take the plus 7.5 here on the Rams. I'm going to hedge my bets, take the Rams at plus 7.5. If it was under a touchdown, maybe I might have thought about biting on that. But 7.5 points, it's too much, again, for a Rams team that's playing as good as they are playing right now. So Baltimore to win the game straight up, but give me that plus 7.5 on Los Angeles. Total in the game set at 40.5 points. I got to take an under here, I think. And I think the weather report kind of plays into that. I think this is, again, tight competitive football game. Give me like a 20-17 or something like that. 20-17 in favor of the Ravens. Ravens win, but Rams cover, and give me the under on the point total. Let's see. Tyler, I have nothing decent to contribute to this. I just want you to know that the Dolphins have always been my team. So they're going to beat the Titans. Sick. I like that. All right, let's take a look at the Sunday night football game. The Philadelphia Eagles in Dallas taking on the Cowboys. Cowboys have the benefit of the long week. So, of course, they played on Thursday, so they get a little bit of extra rest here. They're also winners of 4 straight games, and the Cowboys are cruising on the offensive side of the ball. They are moving the ball incredibly well, about as good as anybody in the league. They're putting up a ton of points. They're super efficient. In fact, they're top 5 in all of those categories over the last month. So this Dallas offense is certainly undeniable, and the defensive side playing fairly well as well. Top 5 in the league in terms of yardage, top 10 in points allowed. The Philadelphia Eagles, like, everybody wants to act super surprised that the Eagles lost last week, or lost by as much as they did. Like, yeah, that was a very public, very big, very prime time beatdown at the hands of the 49ers. This defense has not been good for a while. Like, for a while, this Eagles defense has not been good. They're giving up 29 points a game over their last 4. Yes, the offense is super efficient. They score a lot of points for the yardage that they have. They definitely do that. The tush push, the superstar players, everything. This defense is a problem, and not the kind that you want to have. The kind that's going to cost you a playoff game. This defense is not good. Now, they did go out and sign Shaq Leonard. I think Shaq Leonard is going to make a difference. But does it turn them around immediately? I don't think so. I think Philly might need to look at their defensive scheme. I don't love a 4-2-5. And that's what they play. They only have 2 linebackers. They have a Sam and a Will. They got a 4-man front. That's fine. But only playing with a Sam and a Will linebacker and then 5 DBs, I just don't love it. And I think it's starting to show that this Eagles defense needs a retool. And this is a obviously tough matchup for them. There's a lot of teams that I would take the Eagles to beat just based on the concept of this is a really good team that's really mad right now, and they're going to take out their frustrations. They ain't taking out frustrations on the Dallas Cowboys. Not the way the Cowboys are playing right now. I have absolutely no faith that this Eagles defense can keep the Cowboys under 30. Not right now. I really don't. They can feel free to prove me wrong. I just don't see it. So that being the case, I have to take the Cowboys to win this game outright because I don't think Philly gets to 30 themselves. So, like, Moon's in the chat saying Dallas's defense sucks. They're not like they're playing fairly well right now, and part of that is the offense has been so commanding. Like the offense has been so commanding of the flow of the game that it trickles to the defense. Good against bad teams under. I know, I get it. I totally get it. I understand. Like, good against teams under 500. I understand the narrative, right? But again, like you can't fake the kind of success they're having on the offensive side right now. You just can't do it. So I think the offense is going to be more than enough to get them to win this game. So let's take the Cowboys to win, extend the win streak to 5. I think that might tie them for the division. I think both have 10 wins, something like that. On the line, Dallas is laying 3.5 points. I will buy that extra hook. I'll lay the -3.5 there on Dallas. It's just not a good hedge. Total in the game at 52.5. I do like the over here because once again, I don't think they have a hope in hell of keeping Dallas under 30. So 31-24 is what we're going to go here in favor of the Cowboys. Cowboys win, Cowboys cover, and give me the over on the points. All right, we got 3 quick games here before we get to our 2 Monday Night Football games, which once again, that is crummy. So we have the Minnesota Vikings traveling to Las Vegas to take on the Raiders. These teams super similar over the last little while. Both of these teams come into this game off of their bye, so both well rested. Both of them coming in losers of 2 straight games. And I don't think the Vikings, I feel like the Vikings special sauce with Josh Dobbs has kind of run out a little bit. Their offense has been fine. They're moving the ball fairly well, only scoring about 22 points a game. They're giving up about 20. This is a very middle of the road team in Minnesota. I think they certainly have the upside, which is Justin Jefferson coming back. That is huge for them. Huge for them. I don't necessarily know that you're going to see him explode in the first game. I would maybe give him a game to just kind of, see what the deal is. The one side of this game that I believe is playing extraordinary football right now is the defensive side for the Las Vegas Raiders. And I never thought I would say that. But the Raiders, top 5 in the NFL in the last month in defensive efficiency, top 10 in points allowed, only allowing 17.3 points per game over their last 4. This is a good defense. It has certainly been a good defense over the last month. The offense has left a little something to be desired, which we kind of knew that it would when they made the move to Aiden O'Connell. We kind of knew that it would. But that defense, more than capable of beating pedestrian football teams, that's what I think this Minnesota Vikings team is. I'm going to take the Raiders as a home dog here. Raiders win this game outright. Las Vegas beats Minnesota. On the line, the Raiders are taking +3. Here has a home dog. I like them to win, so give me +3 on the Raiders. Total in the game set at 40.5 points. I do feel an under here because once again, I think it's the Raiders defense that comes to play and wins this football game. So give me the under 40.5 points in Vegas, Minnesota. Let's go 21-16 in favor of the Raiders. Unfortunately, this is going to be a very quick one. The Seattle Seahawks in San Francisco to take on a 49ers team that has to be considered, like, objectively right now, probably the best team in football. This team on the offensive side is untouchable. On the defensive side is untouchable. And that's just the way they're playing right now. They have to be considered the presumptive Super Bowl favorites as things stand right now. 4-game win streak, scoring a ton of points, keeping a ton of points off the board. The defense is stout. The offense is formidable. There's nothing that they do average, at least not over the last month. This Niners team has been incredible. The Seahawks, they do have the benefit of the long week. However, I kind of feel like they probably shot their shot last week. Again, really good team that they were playing in Dallas. That was a really competitive football game. I think they proved some things, but I don't think they have 2 of those games in them in a row. I really don't. They're on the tail end of back-to-back road games. They've lost 3 straight. The offense has looked all right. This defense is not good. Certainly not good lately. They are giving up a ton of points despite only giving up about middle of the road yardage, giving up nearly 29 points a game. In terms of the offensive efficiency, it's a 12.3, which is bad. So I just don't think they have anything for their division rivals here. Let's take the Niners in what should be a cakewalk. Niners get the win in San Francisco. On the line, we have the Niners laying minus 10.5 here as a home favorite. I'm going to lay those points. Yes, it's double digits. Yes, it's a division game. We don't love that, obviously, but I'm going to go ahead and lay the points because I think the Niners are undeniable right now. So let's lay the minus 10.5. Total in the game set at 46.5. I do think Seattle will be able to score some points in here because they do move the ball fairly well and they do score close to the mid-20s on average in the last couple of weeks. So let's go over the 46.5 point total, but I still think this is a 33-17 win in favor of the Niners, who win, cover, and give me the over on the points. LA Rabbit is in the chat now saying Philly over Dallas. Not the way I went, my friend. Not the way I went. And the last game we're going to look at before we look at the 2 Monday Night Football games is the Denver Broncos in Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Chargers were winners last week. Denver did lose against Houston. I feel bad that I didn't take Houston to win that game, but Denver had been playing so well that I really thought it's finally time to jump on this train. And when I do it, what happens? Broncos come into this one on the tail end of back-to-back road games. They're still one of the most efficient offenses in football over the last 4 weeks, and one of the most efficient on the defensive side too. So in terms of the way their whole game is coming together, I might like the Chargers a little bit more on the defensive side, but on offense, I don't think it's particularly close. Chargers are not playing great offensive football right now. Austin Eckler has kind of dried up over the last few months, which means he could be, or few weeks, which means he could be due for an explosion game here for the Chargers, and that is certainly among the possible outcomes. But I think I'm going to take the Broncos here. I'm going to take the Broncos on the road. Chargers are a marginal favorite here at home, but I think the Broncos are the better team right now. Let's take Denver outright to beat LA in LA and give me the plus 2.5 on the Broncos while we're at it. Total in this game set at 43.5 points. Feels like a fairly decent number, but I think I am going to take the under on it. Once again, just because the Chargers offense kind of struggling lately. Both of these defenses playing some good football. So give me the under on this one. Under 43.5 points in Denver, Los Angeles. Let's go Broncos 23, Chargers 17. Broncos upset win, Broncos cover, and give me the under. All right, we are just over an hour into this thing, and let us now approach those Monday Night Football games. Once again, absolutely abjectly stupid of the NFL to be having 2 Monday night games in the same time slot, dividing their own Monday night audience. I just don't understand it. So let's start with the Miami Dolphins at home playing host to the Tennessee Titans. There's been some chatter in the chat about this game, somewhat fueled by Tyler. Again, Tyler saying, I want you to know the Dolphins have always been my team, so they're going to beat the Titans. Andrew says Miami will run all over Tennessee and Mike Vrabel will cry and he will get fired. Tyler says, thanks, Andrew. I have no idea who Mike Vrabel is, but I like the cut of your jib. Andrew clarifies he's the head coach for the Titans. Tyler responding with, okay, he sucks then. And an excellent point was brought up by Half Moon during this conversation is that Derrick Henry dealing with a concussion. So he's got a head injury. Mike Vrabel has said, he's not in the concussion protocol. He said that up front. He's not in concussion protocol. That is either a lie or he probably should be. Because when you look at that hit that he took, certainly looked like concussion protocol to me. So, I mean, look, if he doesn't have a concussion, he doesn't have a concussion. But feels like it's one of those things where you should probably go through the protocol to make sure that he doesn't. Especially like this is your star player. And it's an aging star player. So just feels like one of those things that probably should have happened. But in any case, if he doesn't have a concussion, he doesn't have a concussion. Good for them. The Dolphins are going to give the Titans a concussion in this game. The Dolphins are winners of 3 straight. Their offense is humming along. They're scoring a ton of points. They're moving the ball very well. And Miami's defense has definitely picked up their play over the last month or so. Top 5 in the NFL in terms of total defense as well as scoring defense. So this Dolphins defense definitely playing some of their best football of the year, and it's at the right time as they're cruising towards the playoffs. I just don't see a situation where Tennessee wins this game. I don't see the chain of events that would have to happen for Tennessee to win this game. I just don't. I'm sure it exists. It definitely exists. I just don't see it. I saw the path for Cincinnati to win last week. I saw the path for Green Bay to win last week. I just don't see the path for Tennessee. Not with the way the offense is playing, which is terrible. Not with the way the defense is playing, which is definitely below average. I just don't see it. So give me the Miami Dolphins to win this thing outright. And I'm going to lay the minus 13.5. It's such a big number. It borders on a college spread, but I think I'm going to lay the minus 13.5, even though I don't absolutely love it. Let's lay the minus 13.5 on the Dolphins. Total in this game is set at 47 points. And I originally thought the correlation play here was to take the over. Because I thought, my God, they got to clear 13.5 points. But with the way Tennessee's offense is playing right now, which is in 2 words, not good, I think the correlation play here is the under. Because I think the Dolphins keep them to like 10 points. And if that's the case, they barely have to crack, they only have to crack a high 20 to cover this number. So I think the correlation play is the under here. We're going to go under 47 points in Miami, Tennessee. We're going to go like 30-10, something like that. They cover the minus 13.5. Dolphins obviously win the game outright, and give me the under 47 points. Moon is in the chat saying C is for cookies. My friend, that's good enough for me. And the other Monday Night Football game is my Green Bay Packers, winners of 3 straight games. Don't look now. Here come the Pack. They are traveling to New York to take on a Giants team that is coming off of their bye and are winners of 2 straight. Tommy DeVito and the boys are kind of rolling here a little bit. Certainly, can I be honest? How in the world have the Giants won 2 straight games? I don't understand. Like, I don't get it. I really don't. And again, this is no disrespect intended to them, but how have they won 2 straight games? Okay, so they were at home against the Patriots, and the Patriots have been stinky butt lately. That I totally get. But then, I mean, what was it? The game before that in Washington on their 3rd straight road game. That's the one that was the big surprise to me. I thought Washington was going to walk away with that game. I really did. So did Vegas. They were like 9.5-point favorites. That's probably the signature win for the Giants so far this season. That one 2 weeks ago, division game at that was a huge win for them. And maybe I shouldn't have been quite so critical of Tommy DeVito. Maybe not. But this is still a bad football team. It's a bad offense. It's a bad defense. They're playing a Packers team that is playing arguably their best football since the first 2 to 3 weeks of the season, when the offense was super efficient, putting up a ton of yards, ton of points. They give up a lot of yards to Green Bay, but they are one of the ultimate bend but don't break defenses. They'll give you the yardage, but when it comes right down to it in the red zone, they're going to play their best football. They're going to get that stop. They're going to turn touchdowns into field goals. That's the way the Packers have operated on defense almost all season long. It doesn't always work, but it's been working lately. They have not given up nearly as many points as they should have been giving up, given the yardage that they've been giving up. And I think this offense is arguably playing its best football, moving the ball really well, putting a lot of points on the board. Jordan Love is on fire these last 3 weeks. Hopefully he only continues to get better. I think this Packers team is making a push to the playoffs. I really do. And if that's the case, they can't go into New York and lose to the Giants. They just can't. So I'm going to put faith in my team. Green Bay's remaining schedule, and Moon just put it in the chat, Green Bay's remaining schedule is baby lotion soft. If they win out, I think they're going to the playoffs. And I think that's a team that you don't want to see on Super Wildcard Weekend. I think they're a bit of a wagon. So let's take the Packers on the road in New York to get the win over the Giants. On the line, the Giants are taking 6.5 points as a home dog. And this was actually a really tempting line for me. If this was last year, I would absolutely take these plus 6.5, because that's the Giants. That's where they made bettors all their money last year, was as heavy underdogs. Backdoor covers all over the place. They were covering numbers like this in their sleep last season. This season, not the case. Definitely not the case. Against the spread, this is not a strong team. So let's take the Packers to cover the minus 6.5 points. I think they're objectively the better team. I think they win this game and win this game fairly handily. Total in the game set at 37.5 points. I definitely feel an under in this one because I don't know what I'm going to get from the Giants on the offensive side of the ball. So give me under 37.5 points in Green Bay, New York. Let's go 24-10 in favor of the Packers. Packers win, Packers cover, and the under on the points. Ladies and gentlemen, those are your picks for week 14 in the NFL. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what you don't agree with, what you love, what you hate. Let me know all that stuff in the comment section down below. That's it for me, Justin, Bridgewater's Finest on YouTube, Blockbuster_guy on Twitter. Once again, farewell to my friends at NerdTeas. It has been an absolute honor and a privilege to be a spokesperson for you over the last few years. And I wish you nothing but the best moving forward. Thank you for watching the show this week, and we will see you again in week number 15, the first week of the fantasy football playoffs. All right, folks, that is the stream. So there's definitely some disagreement on a couple of picks, and I love that. I love that happens like almost every week. Now, Moon, Lions take that division. Absolutely. And the Lions deserve to win that division. They have been the best team in that division all season long. Justin, if you don't mind, may I have you repeat your Seattle at San Francisco score? Yeah, absolutely. Seattle, San Francisco, I went 33-17 in favor of San Francisco. So I have them winning, covering, and the over on the 46.5. 33-17. Oh, no worries, Martin. Absolutely. Andrew, I'll miss your sponsor of NerdTeas. Are you looking for another tea company? I don't know whether I'll look for another tea company. I mean, look, I'm definitely going to seek out other sponsorship because I feel like any good content creator should be doing that. So I'll certainly be seeking out other sponsorships. Like the Dynasty Trade Calculator, I think is perfect for my brand, football player, for a football, fantasy football player. And a lot of fantasy football players watch this show. So the DTC, I think, is, a hand in a custom made glove. I think there are a lot of other opportunities in this space for sponsorship. So I'm definitely going to be looking to fill that hole. NerdTeas was awesome. Like they were great. And there is a tea company in Halifax called the World Tea House. And I do like their stuff, but again, I don't know whether I'll go that direction again or take a look at something else. Half Moon, next sponsor, make sure it doesn't take loonies. I like that a lot. Good stuff. All right, folks, I think we will end the stream there. This is a longer stream than the last couple of weeks, but we had our little snafu there at the beginning, and I had to give my heartfelt appreciation to the NerdTeas folks and Ruby. So, yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to check it out, and best of luck to your picks. I hope I can repeat the incredible performance I had last week, this week, and we will see you again in week 15. Now, we do have something interesting coming up in a couple of weeks. It won't be next week's stream, but it would be the week after that. That stream, which would be week 16, falls on my birthday. So chances are I either won't be streaming that night or I might stream in the afternoon. So the afternoon, it would be tougher for people to be able to watch it live, but I would still get the show done and out there and available in a timely fashion. So I haven't really made a decision what that's going to be, but as soon as I make that decision, I'll let people know on Twitter. So that's December the 19th. Would be my birthday. I turned 39, believe it or not, staring 40 in the face. My goodness. All right. So once again, thanks so much for taking the time to watch the show, and we will see everybody again next week.